everyone, today is Monday the 14th of October and this is MQW. This week on MQW, Kylie Minogue releases duet in French, Trisha Paytas claims to be transgender in a highly controversial YouTube video, and Harry Styles is bisexual. All this and more coming up this week in MQW. Hey everyone, my name is Tom Reagan and welcome to this week's episode of MQW. As always, if you enjoyed this video, please give it a big thumbs up and subscribe to this YouTube channel to see more news updates every single week here on MQW. So let's get stuck right into this week's news. The HIV prevention drug PrEP will be available to Californians from January 1st without a prescription. A bill signed on Monday by the state of California's Democratic governor will see both pre-exposure prophylaxis, also known as PrEP, and post-exposure prophylaxis, known as PEP, fall under the new legislation. California will be the first to allow the drugs to be provided over the counter at pharmacies, and the law will come into effect on January 1st. State Senator Scott Wiener says to end new HIV infections and prevent the spread of HIV, we must dramatically expand access to PrEP and PEP, yet far too many Californians who need the drugs struggle to access them. Now, I think this is a really fantastic idea, and I think more governments and more countries should take on this ideology. Of course, you need to put in proper research to know how it will affect people if you can just buy it over the counter. But with the rollout of PrEP in Australia, from studies that I've read, the rate of HIV infection dropped by almost a third once the PrEP pill became available, and once they started the marketing campaign that went with it, because it brought HIV to people's attention, and it also, again, to people's attention, and it made people understand the ways that they could go about reducing that risk of infection. The US Supreme Court is about to hear cases to decide if people can be fired for being gay. 3 individual cases went into the US Supreme Court last Tuesday to find out if LGBTQI+ people are protected from workplace discrimination under the 1964 Civil Rights Act. The Trump administration earlier this year made 2 documents which brought to attention that sexuality-based discrimination is not covered under the Act, and that transgender people also aren't protected in any way. If the ruling is in favour of Trump's administration, then approximately 11.3 million Americans could be fired or not hired based on their sexuality or gender identity. I mean, the fact that we're even having these debates still just blows my mind. Like this, we are no longer in the dark ages, and this kind of discrimination, or any discrimination of any kind, it should not be tolerated. So I don't understand why this is even making news or why this is even happening, because we live in 2019, almost 2020, and we're not in 1964 anymore, where these rules were first introduced. So they should just be dealt with in a way that makes it fair for everyone. The arguments about this case rely heavily on the interpretation of the Civil Rights Act, and I hope that they solve this quickly without damage being caused to anyone or anyone in our community. Uganda plans to introduce the death penalty for homosexuals with terrifying new law. The new bill was seen 5 years ago but was turned over due to a technicality, but the Ugandan government is going to see the bill again in the next few weeks, sparking fear amongst the LGBTQI+ community in Uganda. The Ugandan Minister of Ethics and Integration, doesn't seem he deserves that role considering what he says, Simon Lokodo, has been stated saying that it's a falsehood that people are born like this. Anyone who is involved in the promotion and recruitment has to be criminalised, and those who do the grave act will be given the death sentence. Just researching this story gave me chills and made me feel sick and incredibly sad for our LGBTQI+ community members that are living in Uganda. I feel for these people, and I hope that these places see the light and that appropriate international bodies step in to help Ugandan politicians understand that being gay is not a choice, it is how we're born. And you know the palaver. I just hope that something is done about this. Trisha Paytas claims to be transgender in a very highly controversial YouTube video. Trisha Paytas is an American YouTube personality, model and singer from California who has faced massive backlash this week over a YouTube video she uploaded where she stated that she is transgender. Now, I've watched the video that she uploaded, and I don't know whether she's done it because she wanted the views and she wanted the attention, or if she actually is experiencing thoughts that make her believe that she is transgender. But after watching the video, I feel like, on my personal opinion, that she's doing it and what she's saying, she doesn't really understand. She's not educated enough about what it is to be transgender to make a decision based on how she's feeling. She goes to say in the video that she was bullied for being more masculine when she was younger, and that she identifies with men better and identifies as a gay man, but she loves being glam and voluptuousness. She's transgender female to male and a drag queen. So what she's saying, I feel like she just doesn't understand what it means to be transgender. Trisha has since apologized for the way she spoke about being transgender, but says she still identifies as male. Sydney marches against religious discrimination bill. Last Saturday, protesters attempted to have their voices heard at Town Hall in Sydney, where they were protesting the religious discrimination bill. We have spoken a little bit about this in previous videos, but Kat Rose, who is the co-conveyor of the Community Action for Rainbow Rights, says that they are outraged that the Labor opposition has signalled its willingness to work with the Liberal Party on this heinous bill. Now, the issues that this bill would bring forward, if it was to be passed, would be things like LGBTIQ plus community members being denied healthcare and treatment by doctors and procedures on the grounds of their religious belief. It would allow religious schools to sack anyone who was found to be gay or part of the LGBTIQ plus community, and it would allow employers to sack employees based on the grounds of sexuality, just to name a few things. And again, this is another story that throws us back into the dark ages. I don't even know why this is being considered by our government. It's discrimination and it's not fair. So something needs to be done about this. In a twist of fate, but I've always been a little bit curious about Harry Styles and his sexuality. People are saying that his new song, which is titled Lights Up, is his bisexual anthem. Now, like I said, it doesn't come as a shock to me whatsoever. I've always found that the One Direction member has always been a little bit of someone who appears on my radar to be bisexual or to be gay. But critics are saying that he just wants to make everyone feel included and comfortable and know that they aren't alone. And he said this in an interview. So I say, good on you, Harry, for bringing out this song and attempting to make people feel more welcomed. And last but not least, Kylie Minogue releases new French duet. Kylie and French singer Jennifer released the song on Oublie le reste, which means we forget the rest, excuse my horrible French pronunciation, and features a tip of the hat to one of Kylie's biggest hits, Can't Get You Out of My Head. The song isn't Kylie's first venture into different languages. She has had hits that span 40 countries and has released songs in French, German, Japanese, and Spanish. So that wraps up this week's news articles for MQW. If you have any comments or you feel I've missed out any news stories, please leave it in the comment section below, and always get involved in the conversation. Okay, now it's time for This Week in LGBTQI+ History, and the first one comes to us from the lovely Lavender Effect. Why do I always call it the lovely Lavender Effect? It's the Lavender Effect Facebook page. October 10th, 1987, 2,000 gay and lesbian couples exchanged vows in a mass wedding held on the steps of the IRS building in Washington, D.C. And our second history moment comes from the app Quist. It's October 9th, 2011. Anna Grodzka is the first transgender MP elected to Polish Parliament. So that is your 2 history quips from MQW. Alright folks, that wraps up this MQW for this week. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a big thumbs up and make sure you subscribe to this channel and share this video to all your friends and your family. And as always, I'll see you next week for next week's episode of MQW.